So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the International Defense Industries Forum. In this section of our forum, we're going to talk about funding the Ukrainian defense industry. So, welcome to the section, which is called ZBROYARI. Before we begin the discussion, I invite to the stage the advisor for strategic affairs to the President of Ukraine, who in his role as the Minister of Strategic Industries of Ukraine has actively worked to build the capabilities of our defense industry and attract funding from our partners. Please welcome on stage Oleksandr Kamyshin.
Thank you. As you've heard from the previous panel, as Minister Smetanian said, the main challenge for Ukrainian industry is funding at this point. At this point, we're capable to produce more than we can fund from local funds. And our industry is in the full-scale war. It was quite neglected for decades. It was great back in Soviet Union, but it was for a few decades quite neglected, and actually it's quite reborn at this stage. In the past few years, we changed the case, changed the structure, changed the strategy, and last year the production tripled. At this point, we believe that we can still double the production for the next year with local funds available only. But the resource is limited, and Russia's got quite an extensive resource still now. But we've got something that Russia never had and never would have. We've got the strong support of the entire free world. Again, thanks for all the support we have. In the late 2023, when we understood that our capabilities are bigger than the funding available locally, we started the initiative which is called ZBROYARI, Manufacturing Freedom. We've started this initiative together with the Minister of Defense, together with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and other participants, and that's how we started crowdfunding from other partner nations for local production. I would be always grateful to Denmark. Are there any Danish people, Danish companies in the room? I see you. Mange tak. I would be always grateful for that. The leadership of Denmark was unwavering, and Denmark was the first country to procure from Ukrainian industry. At this point, it's still the largest contributor, and at this point we got $750 million of commitments, and a significant share of that was announced the day before yesterday by Danish Minister of Defense here in this room, and we move on. As Danish Minister of Defense said, the placement of the order for the production of 18 self-propelled howitzers, 155 caliber, was done back in July, and by September, 18 machines were ready to go. They already fight at the front line. So this example could be called, as we call them, the Danish model, and we would be happy if other nations will follow the same model. I would be mentioning also Canada, the Netherlands, and we also should mention Lithuania, who joined recently committing to procure from Ukrainian rocket drone producer. And I'm sure that other nations will follow. And we will have a speaker at this panel announcing the Danish model. That would be Dennis Virkelyst from the Danish team. And I'm sure that you will hear more about the model. Also today we'll have some good news announcements from the US and the UK teams. So I'm happy that we found a solution that can work well and help our industry stand and use its capabilities. And I would be always grateful to the partner nations standing with us for already 951 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kamyshin. Thank you for your contribution to strengthening the capabilities of Ukraine's defense industry and for initiating such important work in raising funds for the purchase of Ukrainian weapons. So, ladies and gentlemen, now let us proceed to the panel discussion, and the moderator will be Sergiy Boyev, Deputy Minister for Strategic Industries of Ukraine.
Good afternoon, dear guests. Good afternoon, dear representatives of our partners, defense industries, and our Ukrainian industry. It's my honor and pleasure to moderate this panel today. It's an important panel. As our industry develops, one of the obstacles, the key obstacle we now start to face is how to fund it, how to find those solutions that would be sustainable, that will help us in the short term, but also will show us how to do we grow, how we grow together in the longer term. And I would like to invite to do a key note presentation before I invite the rest of our panelists to the stage. Denis Virkelyst, the leader of Team Ukraine in the Danish Ministry of Defense, who was at the origin of the development of this Danish model that we talk so much about.
Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear Ukrainian friends, it's a great honor to stand here today and present the Danish model for direct procurement in the Ukrainian defense industry. A saying is that a success has many mothers, but a failure is orphaned. But that's why I feel that it's very good to stand here among a very big and close family. Back in the early spring, the idea of procuring from the Ukrainian defense industry was born at meetings here in Kiev. And the Danish Ministry of Defense Ukraine team has since been working very hard to make this into a success that is delivering effect on the battlefield. Together with our very close and dear colleagues from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Strategic Industry, we started negotiation of a model. And already in June, we were able to sign a memorandum of understanding that is setting the frame and the conditions for the model. At the NATO summit in Washington, as Sergiy just mentioned, the first pilot project was signed to produce 18 Bodana artillery pieces from the producer KZVV, paid by Danish money. 2 months later, on September 14, the last of the 18 artillery pieces were delivered to the Ukrainian armed forces. So the pilot project was a success. The Danish model is actually quite simple. Based on the Ukrainian military demand, the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense and the Ministry of Strategic Industry presents Denmark with a list of recommended companies and products that they want us to procure. The Danish defense industries here in Kiev and our Danish acquisition and logistic organization then visits the companies and make a screening of the companies in order to make sure that everything is credible. Based on their screening, the Danish government decides upon the companies to move along with. And after that decision in the Danish government, we continue our close cooperation with our Ukrainian colleagues in order to make implementing arrangements for each of the different products. We both have a possibility to reimburse existing orders in order to speed things up, but also to not make it necessary for the Ukrainians to go out and make new contracts with companies that they are already dealing with. We also have a possibility to finance new contracts as the production of Ukrainian defense industry increases over time. And we will continue our visit to the companies to follow up on the delivery process in order to make sure that everything is going by the book. Meanwhile, our family has grown even larger. The European Union decided to allocate a part of the windfall profit on this project, as everyone could see that it was delivering good, quick, and effective results of the needed weapons to Ukraine armed forces already this year against the fight against the Russians. The European Union have allocated almost 400 million euros to this project, and the Danish government and parliament have allocated 175 million euros. And as mentioned 2 days ago, the Danish Minister of Defense, Troels Lund Poulsen, together with Minister Umerov and Minister Smitsanen, signed a letter of intent in which we agreed upon the companies that were selected. A very important part of this process has been to get to know the Ukrainian companies, to make sure that we find the companies reliable, transparent, and open about the companies, their production, and their finances, in order to ensure the capability before we decide upon a project. We also focus on the company's ability to deliver in time, because we all know that in this war, time is of the essence. Another aspect of our products is during with our dealing with the different Ukrainian companies, we also discuss and find bottlenecks. We were here 2 weeks ago visiting a lot of companies, and one issue they raised to us as a bottleneck were already last week raised in the UDCD NAT format to other countries. So other countries in the UDC and the European Union has a possibility to put in and support us in our possibility to provide a solution. Because Denmark is a small country. We try, but we cannot solve all problems alone. But together we can strengthen both the Ukrainian and the European defense industry to find a common solution and partnerships. And hopefully the family will increase further. We are in close dialogue with different European partners in order to facilitate that they can contribute to the project through funding money through Denmark, just like the European Union have done, and thus make it possible for us to increase the orders. And I would also like to stress that nothing that we have seen with the Ukrainian companies that we have been dealing with indicate that there would be any significant differences than when we are dealing with other European countries and companies, like our good partners in the Czech Republic and the Netherlands, to whom we owe a lot to get this to happen. The next step in the Danish model is to ensure that the companies will deliver the weapons before the end of the war. Yeah, hopefully, but at least at the end of the year. Denmark and the European yeah, hopefully it will end before the end of. Denmark and the European Union will be able to show the rest of the world how efficient we spend the Russian windfall profit on weapons going right back deep into Russia. And if I may paraphrase my Prime Minister, no red lines from our side. Finally, I would like to thank our very close partners in Ukraine, in the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Strategic Industry, Oleksandr and Sergiy, who has been doing a tremendous job for providing us the needed information to turning the Danish model into a success. And hopefully we will be able to announce that we will continue this project into 2025. Thank you.
Let me now invite our panelists to the stage. I'll start with Dmytro Klimenkov, Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine. Monika Koroliovienė, Vice Minister of National Defense of the Republic of Lithuania. Major General Anneli Riley, Director of Strategic Capability Engagement and Operations, Directorate Task Force Hearst in UK Ministry of Defense. Simon Wouda, Deputy Director, Directorate Ukraine in the Dutch Ministry of Defense. And Dennis, please also join our discussion based on your speech and experience. Okay, we have a very great panel today, and so I'll try to speak as little as I can and just pass the floor. So let's start with the customer. Dmytro, my first question is to you. Okay, you as a customer, how you think about the products you need, how you discuss them with the partners that are interested in financing that, how you find this conversation, this experience so far?
Thank you. Thank you, Sergiy. Thank you, first of all, to Denmark, to government, to MOD or Denmark, because it is, you know, the first step is very difficult all time, but we did it. I remember we met this, if I'm not mistaken, several months ago in Brussels, is Mr. ZBROYARI, and we started to negotiate how we can use from one side windfall profits to our production, and from another side how we can build a model for quick cooperation, for quick investment to our market, I mean domestic Ukrainian development market. That is utmost important to start and to avoid any big, huge bureaucratical systems which we have both. I mean Ukraine, European Union, doesn't matter. Because time is alive. We need make decision very fast. We need take it forward. We need to understand ability in Ukraine. We need to understand ability of our valued partners, because we divided the budget. We divided what we can do in Ukraine, as I mentioned today, and what we can get from our partners. For example, for windfall profits from terrorist country. It was a challenge. In spring, we met in the field with Minister of Defense Denmark. We saw how worked our Bogdana. We prepared the plan and we completed it. And performance, if you ask me, I think it is great. And now we have a concrete figures, concrete numbers of investment. End of this year, total should be about 1.6 billion euro, and for the next year, for the first quarter, we expecting 1.8 or 1.9 billion euro. Within a Danish model, we are going to invest our production. Of course, I have to stress that as I mentioned, we divided the budget. Some items we imported. We provide an import from our European Union market, from our partners. Some of them we provide the order in Ukraine. This is two directions important because our heroes cannot wait when we delivered. They need today, they need tomorrow, they need after the tomorrow, because unfortunately the war is ongoing. If we continue like this, we must understand needs for 2025. We must focus for the critical items, I mean critical products which we produced and which we are getting by aid, which we need to provide maintenance for the proper level, and also we coordinate all this activity with our partners. Yesterday we got the good news from our partners from Sweden. We have a good news from Lithuania. We have a good news from UK. That is great because, as I mentioned today on the breakfast here, that is very difficult to be alone, and it is great. We are mentality close. We understand our common goal, and we focus to the production, to the increasing development of our economic development, including of course for the military. We as a customer have a big budget. Expecting for end of this year it will be approximately $9.5 billion end of this year, and of course for 2025 it will be twice budget. According to our ability, which we estimated together with Minister of Industry, Strategic Industry, we can cover by our budget 50% just. So your procedures, your involvement, all your force, all your power can have an opportunity to big these add-on sales, to invest to Ukraine, and to provide the good products which will help our heroes in the battlefield.
Thank you, Dmytro. Speaking about good products and some of the products that either we do better or that help us help us provide asymmetric response at the battlefield. Similar, together with Denmark, the Netherlands did the announcement about the naval drone project. And Simon, could you please share your thoughts and experience on dealing with this?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me in this panel. Feeling very honored and privileged to be here and representing my Dutch government and the position the Netherlands has. First of all, I would like to emphasize that cooperation is so important in this field. And since the beginning of 2023, Denmark and the Netherlands are working very tight together. First of all, working together with the Czech industry and the Czech Ministry of Defense, helping each other, helping each other's network and knowledge, and strengthen the support, the military support we give to Ukraine. We are on a journey, and I think the journey is still ongoing. What I would like to say, first of all, of the Danish model from our point of view, we saw it developing. And together with Denmark, we agreed that we should use two different pathways, two different roads. The Danish model is using a road government to government to business. The Netherlands choose the government to business model, directly trying to deal with Ukrainian defense industry and looking for opportunities to procure stuff from your industry that is needed for your Ministry of Defense, for your armed forces. We're not that far yet as the Danes are, but we agreed upon with each other that we will work together. We look at the two different paths. We will evaluate it, maybe the end of this year or beginning next year, and then continue. Although we took different roads, we will support each other and work together. And one of the examples you just stated with the unmanned sea vehicles, I think also that project is also a very strong example of working together and the strength of co-financing and co-funding. The theme, of course, today here in this panel is funding the Ukrainian defense industry. But we learned during the whole campaign, especially mid last year, that it is much more efficient and effective if one of the countries is taking the lead and the others are following and just funding it. In the beginning, we were competing with each other. And sometimes competition is good, but not in this case. So we clearly stopped competing and choose the path that one of the countries is in the lead and the other is following. That is also challenging, especially for the internal procedures, how to fund another country. But I think we took a very strong road. We're helping each other. We started with the UK first. We followed the Czech initiative, the Estonian initiative, and following also others. And in between Denmark and our country, I would like to end, we're helping each other. One is the contracting agency and the other is funding. And we're using each other's knowledge and strength, and that's really worthwhile. And I think we should learn it not only in this case, but also for the future. Working together, I think, is the strongest point we learned, and we have to continue, also after your victory.
Thank you, Simon. Of course, we are curious to see how your direct-to-industry approach will unfold. Happy to participate. So a number of solutions can work as long as both parties are happy. I think speaking about the another model, you mentioned you worked with the UK, and so there is a lot of things that UK is doing in terms of procuring the Ukrainian products, not just Ukrainian products, but also in light of the fairly recent UK export facility agreement announcement. There is also some projects in the pipeline we're involved in about funding production capability. So only if you could share a bit how you work with Ukrainian industry, and also in terms of finding the sources of funding.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. So there is a third pathway, I suppose, and that is using the UK's ability at the moment to be able to contract at speed. So one of the things we've been very good at so far is being able to contract very rapidly using UK funding and getting equipment to Ukraine. Are we carrying on?
We are in the basement, so it's been announced. So if this is a very serious level of attack, it will be separate announcement, but we are in what is designated shelter, so there's no need to worry.
Fabulous. And So what we've been doing is trying to match the requirement with the funding to deliver the capability. And what we're talking about is the ability for UK companies, other companies to contract directly with the UK to provide equipment, munitions, support into Ukraine. So that means that we basically take the burden off you, having to procure directly into Ukraine, and it can be done very simply using UK terms and conditions. What we've tried to set up with our contracts are framework contracts. So for those companies who have contracts with us already, they can be expanded as need be to put other funding through. So what we're trying to do is basically back-to-back those contracts. You mentioned the treaty that was signed. We're working last week and this week on various project arrangements that sit under that for repair, for maintenance, and for complex weapons. And we will build on that. And we're happy to take any funding through that model and be able to push that to meet your requirements. And that's in terms of investing in industry, both inside Ukraine and anywhere else globally.
Thank you. I think it's indeed important because on one side we face this challenge of funding what we can already produce, and on the other side we want like still to develop some complex advanced things or improve what we can do. I think I will turn to you, Madam Vice Minister. You just recently, as a country, as a nation, announced this initiative to support manufacturing of rocket drones. And what are your thoughts as you start thinking about how to deal, to work with Ukraine, how to work with Ukrainian industry, also leveraging the experience of our partners?
First of all, thank you so much. It's an honor to sit here among great allies and partners. And what I learned today, that's already a victory for Ukraine. And that goes without doubts, that miracles is happening here. And to be frank and honest, though we are West, we are proud of with the speed how we are able to facilitate our industrial base. I think we definitely we need to bring lessons learned from here. Brave one should be multiplied and duplicated in every country to move at the speed what we need to, replenish our stocks and first and foremost to continue, support you. So to be coming to your question, again, to be open and frank, our decision to join this particular project was about crossing red lines, first of all, and and to have this wonderful side effect that we will be able to support Ukrainian industry. It's just a wonderful side effect we will continue to do with the putting all the efforts. And I, as my dear Latvian colleague told previously, though small, but we feel, spirit is here, we are mighty, and 0.25% of GDP, it's what Lithuania is fully committed to continue to do. And of course, trying to juggle between all the wonderful, initiatives. We are part of the UK, fund. We are part of Czech initiative. We are also will be, with this project as a beginning, will be part of this initiative. Because let's be honest, that's a way to not only to help you, but also help us to continue at this speed. Because our stocks has limits. Our industrial base sometimes, still maybe to not so much willing to take all the risks and to move as fast as we can. So here we have everything what we need, and Lithuania will do not nationally, but also trying to gather coalitions of willing and wanting to move forward, always to support you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Of course, if you think about Ukraine's military is really the most active and often most sophisticated user of all the defense products that are produced elsewhere. And so, in this case, this is how through this usage, I mean, in the very unfortunate circumstances, but on the other side, this is how the battle winning products, the best defense technologies are created. And so I think this is where, on one side, we have the funding source from your support, but on the other side, I think to make it sustainable, it's also the industrial foundation that needs to follow. And I think we've discussed it with many of you, and I think this is the message is part of the reason, one of the key reasons why we're putting together this forum. We want this integration on the industrial level to happen. We want these products to be joint products, and then these products to be supported and developed jointly. So I think this is the overall leitmotif, the strategy behind all the action for the defense industry growth during the war, but also looking further. I think I would like to ask each of our partners. You have dealt with Ukraine. You have dealt with the key customer in the case of MOD, but it's really the military, the security and defense forces. In one line or 1 minute, what Ukraine could do better to facilitate what you're doing and to help speed up, accelerate this interest, the other nations to follow your lead, to help us fund building the arsenal of the free world. I think let's start with Dennis. He has been quiet for some time.
Working? Yeah, there it is. Yes, thank you, Sergey. Yeah, I think it's very important that we understand that there are different types of financial models, and they all support each other, like Simon and Anna said. Going on now from our side, the focus is on to support the Ukrainian industry to increase the production, to make sure that we, as you said, unfortunately need to accommodate all the need from your armed forces. But the next step should be better integration towards the European Union and the European defense industry. Because we are sitting here together with a lot of companies coming from Ukraine and other countries, and we need to bring you guys together because the companies have different product or components that could be worked in together in order to increase both the production speed but also the quality of the products, because we all see that the development at the front line goes so fast that we need to support each other and not compete with each other to get the best products to the Ukrainian soldiers.
Yeah, I would like to add to what Dennis said. June this year, we signed the statement of intent between the Netherlands and Ukraine for further cooperation between our two defense industries. And I think there is the core of the answer. Of course, we are trying to support your defense industry, but the best is to cooperate and use the strength of other defense industries. And I think the Dutch industry is able to support you with components. If it is, for instance, propellants for your ammunition, or it is maybe chips, or maybe battery systems to enhance the quality of your drones, we can support you with that, and we are open. This year we visited you with a very small trade delegation in April, just 3 companies. We always start a little bit quiet. November we will arrive here with 15, and please invite all your companies to that conference, that bilateral conference, and ask for all the possibilities on our side. There are multiple. We have a lot of technical universities, a lot of technical companies, a lot of knowledge about software, artificial intelligence, and our companies are open to cooperate and support, very willing. And I think that is the key. Don't look for the answer here only in Ukraine, but also in the other countries. I think it's not only counting for the Netherlands, but also for the others. They're very open for cooperation. And I think for our own defense industry, I'm looking now to the other countries. Unfortunately, there is a window of opportunity to increase and learn. And that is now, unfortunately, because a war was needed for it. But you have to get into that window of opportunity, otherwise you are too late. So also a call for the other countries and all the companies, if you're interested, if you're willing, step in and support Ukraine with your knowledge and your expertise. Thank you.
So for us, we've managed to move incredibly quickly on things like the treaty, which was done in a matter of weeks, and therefore that hasn't been a blocker on either side. Prioritization is always key, so we understand what's important to you and what therefore we need to deliver, whether it's under Task Force Hearst, Kindred, International Fund for Ukraine, it doesn't matter. We need to understand the priorities. I think the real benefit is where we can seed corn funding to let industry work with other industry. That's been the real benefit. So there's some really good examples recently whereby we have match-made UK companies with Ukrainian companies, funded some R&D research with UK money, and then that's spun from there. And that's really, really important because we can pick and choose with your priorities what we do, and then let industry do what it does best, which is, quite frankly, get on with it. And that's why having ADS here and the trade mission is really important to us, because we can get those company-to-company conversations going.
I think I couldn't agree more, you know, on, about everything what was mentioned here as at the very beginning. I think something to what you have right now with Brave One to include partners we are working on to just to make sure, you know, that it's not only about resources, but it's about long-term vision. Of course, with full understanding that, you know, right now it's immediate needs, and that's first and foremost what need to be fulfilled. But like long-term approach, how it could be two-way street in terms of, you know, the transfer of technologies, right? In terms of our industries working together on R&D joint projects to continue, because adversaries will not sleep. What we right now, what we do have, you know, the best and newest working might change in hours, in days. So just uniting all together our resources, our potential, what you do and have right now, ability to test in real time. I think that's where we should look into.
May I extend use my right as an organizer to extend by a couple of minutes the panel, but I think there's a very interesting question which I think many of our Ukrainian companies would want to hear the answer to is, are our partner governments and your governments, are they thinking about, are they looking into investing directly, not just to procure, but directing into our defense industries, into investing in buying stakes and creating joint projects here in Ukraine? It's an open question.
Just I would like to add very important thing. That's absolutely agreed. When we are talking about our key of investment, like Danish model, we mean it is opportunity to develop together, not only for some producers, not only for the factory manufacturing, increasing products we are using. We must strengthening for the long-term relationship between our countries. This is our future, to work together, to live together, and to to be ready to solve any problem which we face. For example, now we have problem for some material resource from some countries, complicated countries. But just together, if we have mutual projects, we can solve it more faster. So speed, time, and productive work is important. We are, of course, not going to stop. We intend to expand, and we are every day thinking with our partners how we can add more ability and more opportunity, not only for our partners as well. Thank you one more time. Thank you.
So that was an open question. So if there are any plans, any considerations about actually partners coming and funding and investing, specifically as investors, into our companies, financial or strategic?
Yes, you heard Andy speak, Andy Start, our National Armaments Director, speak earlier about United Kingdom Export Finance, and that is all about joint partnerships with UK industry and Ukrainian industry, developing capabilities both here in Ukraine and back in the UK. So that is absolutely a top priority for us right now.
Yeah, right now our focus is of course to make the Danish model into a success. But 2 days ago, the Ministry of Defense also announced the establishment of a defense industry hub here in Kiev, where we will support our Danish companies into making partnerships with Ukrainian companies. And it is being discussed whether or how we could make the next step to support these partnerships also from the governmental side. But we are not like the companies. Our decision process is a bit longer, so we have to wait for that.
I think the Netherlands is exactly on the same path. So at this point, we are basically supporting your country in this war. We're trying to look for opportunities to fund. We're also considering to start up a trade a bureau here within our embassy, as more or less in length with the trade delegation that will visit your country. But it takes time. In my point of view, when we thought and spoke about it in April, it would have been here already in May if it would have been me. But it costs time, and that is always with governments. It is the case. But the intent is there, and I think that is important. And I think that intent is also very clearly in that statement that I spoke about, also with the security agreement we signed. The intent is clear, and so I'm not so uncertain that we will not invest in your country. I think we will.
And I will be short. I think, yes, the thinking is there. And as we all underlined, I think it's a question of time. And it's a question about where we having, small defense industry could fit in to create joint potentially ventures, right? And to continue developed highly advanced products. Thank you.
I would like to conclude here to thank all our panelists. I think the key outcome conclusion is clear. So we have these great partners of ours which show to everyone that Ukrainian defense industry is interested. The products can be procured, but we can also share a lot from manufacturing them, from applying them, and we hope that this partnership will develop into something bigger with each of your countries, but with other nations that support us in this war, and so we'll build the arsenal of the world together. Thank you very much. Thanks you to all the listeners and the participants of the forum. Thanks.
Thank you, Sergiy, and your panelists. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now we'd like to invite all of you for lunch. The lunch break will last 45 minutes, and of course, we look forward to seeing you in this hall at 2:15 p.m. for a special event. Enjoy your meal.